So at the weekend we've got the coronation of King Sausage Fingers Charles III. So some thoughts about that. The most important thought is this idea that for the first time ever, the people of Great Britain are supposed to swear an oath of allegiance to this new monarch, Sausage Fingers III. In the past, what's happened is that the monarch has sworn an oath of allegiance to serve the people and to serve the Christian church. So this is kind of a big change, that we're supposed to swear an oath of allegiance to him rather than the other way around. So what is an oath of allegiance? Well, I guess it's a promise from you that you'll do as you're told, and whatever Sausage Fingers says in the future, you will obey him without question. It's almost like a contract. So what I'm going to do now is just stop the video, and I'll show you this oath of allegiance that Sausage Fingers wants you to give him. So there's various ways you can look at this. Somebody who's an atheist, who maybe believes in natural law, they say that the powers that shouldn't be try to get you into contracts, that they're allowed to do things to you so long as you have consented to it. And you can easily see how this oath of allegiance might be used for that. So Charles is a big part of the World Economic Forum. In fact, he was one of the guys that announced the Great Reset a matter of weeks after the Divock 91 hoax. So you can only imagine what he would use this oath of allegiance for. Also, if you've given that oath of allegiance, you then can't go back on it. You know, this is how it works. So any adverse karmic comeback as a result of the anti-kind of human World Economic Forum agenda that Sausage Fingers might decide to impose on the British people, you can't complain about it because you went along with this oath of allegiance. And also it may well be that even if you don't actually give this oath of allegiance, your silence might be considered by them to be sufficient for them to do whatever they want to do, this anti-human agenda to the British people, and for it to be okay in terms of the karmic consequences falling on you, not them. For me as a Christian, it's even more obvious. You know, the devil is allowed to tempt human beings here on earth. God allows that as a way of separating the wheat from the chaff. And what we're supposed to do is choose the right path. So basically, are you going to side with satanic Sausage Fingers, or are you going to side with Jesus Christ and the love of God? And I know who I'm going to be backing. So what do we do at the weekend then? Well, I think really important is that we just do not watch this coronation, not even for shits and giggles, because it's actually quite serious stuff. They're going to use this as if you watch it, you've agreed to him having authority over you, and you can't then complain about the terrible things that this bloke does to you, because you kind of consented to him becoming king by either saying this oath of allegiance or just even watching it and listening to it. That might be considered to be enough to count as acceptance of this contractual offer. The other thing to bear in mind is that in Britain, the monarch is the head of state. They're also the head of the armed services. They have a lot of power, including the power to dissolve Parliament. So the idea behind that originally was that, suppose that you had a democratically elected government that went rogue and started oppressing their own people, then the monarch could actually step in and stop this kind of abuse by the government on the people. That should have happened during Queen Elizabeth II's reign, during the Divock 91 nonsense, when all the authoritarian stuff was being imposed on the British people. You know, that even was without any proper due parliamentary process. So Queen Elizabeth II failed spectacularly in her duty to oversee Parliament. She didn't do that at all. So one can only, you know, just like fear what Charles might do if he ever became head of state. Yeah, absolutely useless individual. So, and I think there's plenty of evidence to say that he's not a good person. He's satanic. He's into all sorts of new age stuff. So looking forward into the future, you know, what I think Britain will be better off becoming a constitutional democracy. So Magna Carta and stuff, I know a lot of people talk about it, but it doesn't really seem to work. When cases go to court, they get thrown out. Like, for example, during the lockdowns, it was the cinema owner from Wales who tried to use Magna Carta as a legal defence and failed and ended up with huge legal bills. So what we actually want is a formal written constitution. And the idea of that written constitution is that it would guarantee basic human rights in Britain. So, for example, bodily autonomy, or the right to own a business, or basic private property rights, that the state isn't allowed to get hold of your property or amend your property, like sending messages to your mobile phone without your express permission. So that, for me, that would be the way forward. We need to get rid of the monarchy. Waste of time. They've been exposed for who they are, you know, with all the stuff to do with like Camilla, Princess Diana. All the truth about all of those things is now out in the open. He's not very popular. What we must do, when, as I say, when this coronation is on, is not watch it on TV. Openly ridicule the bloke, call him sausage fingers, call him all sorts of silly names. Say that he's not your, you know, you're not going to accept him as your king. That's certainly what I will be doing, and trying to tell as many people who will listen that that's my position, and that should be their position too, that this guy is completely illegitimate. Britain doesn't need a monarchy anymore. What we need is a cast iron written constitution that politicians aren't allowed to amend using emergency laws. And that way, if we have that, we don't ever have to live through any of this kind of what happened during Crazy Divock. Oh, and another thing that I would put into a written constitution is the right to free speech, the right to bear arms. I would also put in clauses that limits the scope of the state. So the state in the future shouldn't be allowed to provide education. It shouldn't be allowed to provide healthcare, because over the last 3 years, the state has proven that it can't be trusted with those things. They're way too important to be trusted to politicians. So yeah, that's all I want to say today. So God bless.